Hey everyone, it is nostalgia time once again, and we are back with the second Thinkpad. Or actually, as I should say, the first Thinkpad I got last year. The one with the missing track point and a bulged keyboard. Yeah, that's very bulged. So, in our little mini-series of replacing computer hard drives and upgrading them to solid states, so far, the other ThinkPad has been the only one to have its hard drive successfully replaced as of now. We tried to do it in the last episode on the Latitude, however, this solid state drive was too thick for it. The mechanical hard drive was too thin. Oh yeah, and that reminds me of the first thing we're going to do. So in this episode, we are going to try to see if we can upgrade the other ThinkPad's mechanical hard drive to a solid-state drive. And in addition to that, we're going to see how well this thing runs Windows 11. I'm sure this thing will perform as similarly to the other one because both of them have the same specs, or nearly the same specs. Except when I got them, the hard drive types were different. But of course, the only difference is that this one, if you remember, did not come with an operating system at all. And the other one already had St. Joseph's Windows 10 Education Edition installed. So all I did was I just removed the solid state from that and put it in there. But if I have to go as far as using that thin solid state drive, then that's what I'll do. Oh, look at this. Get even more out of Windows. You'll be on your way to enjoying the full experience. Well, we won't be enjoying the full experience on this thing for much longer. So, before we get to work replacing the hard drive, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this machine from our antivirus subscription, which actually will no longer be renewed after this year. So yeah, these are all the drivers that I downloaded from Lenovo's website. So we're going to go ahead and remove this program here. This is so we can implement the first stage of detaching this from our subscription before this hard drive is transferred elsewhere. I'm not sure if its VPN counterpart's going to uninstall along with this as well, but we're going to see. So this is the full screen override that Kaspersky does when changes are being made. So it says, are you sure you want to remove it? Yes, I would like to remove the program. Now that full screen override was the first step in preparing the removal. So this here is where you would save your activation code. Well, I already have that saved. Yes, we're going to clear the license information. So we're going to hit next. And yes. So we are completely removing the program. And I believe, just like with the installation of this program, this will require a reboot. And now if we open up the Start menu, everything should be disappearing. And there we go. Now Windows Security defaults back to Microsoft Defender because Kaspersky's has been removed. Let's see if we could still try to open the main program while it's removing. I'm curious. Ooh, is it saying it's going to try to load while it's removing? So now it is deregistering the program because I told it not to save the license information. That is because this hard drive will be going into another computer. This is the first step of our transition away from Kaspersky, as the software is no longer receiving security updates as of September of last year. So there we go. Now it has undone the registration, and now it's in the final stages. So it looks like the VPN counterpart was a separate component. So let's remove that as well. We are not saving anything. And now we're removing the VPN counterpart. And it looks like that's done too, because now it appears to have opened up a survey page. So if I move this over, the survey is asking why we decided to remove. And it still has the old name too, Secure Connection. It's not called Secure Connection anymore. It's now called Kaspersky VPN, but it won't be for that reason. And how obvious, a new version of Microsoft Edge. They're always making sure that everybody's keeping up with all the latest updates on these browsers. Both components have been removed entirely. We're actually not going to be rebooting. We're actually going to be shutting it down, because now it's time for the main event. So first thing is we're going to go ahead and pop out the battery for good measure. Now, let's see if I remember where the hard drive is. Oh my goodness, these screws are even more rusty than that other one. So let's see, I think there are 3 screws that need to be removed. So let's see, this should be where the hard drive is. Everything that's in here is still original. So there we go. The cover has been taken off. So let's hope we have better luck this time with that HP solid state than on the Latitude. But more importantly, we need to keep the screws together. All right, so now we will pull the tab. So now we'll use the pull tab to maybe there was another screw that needed to be detached in order to. There we go. All right, it is out. Let's make sure that the solid state and the mechanical are both the same size. So, yep, I think it'll fit. So there we go. This is a Hitachi let's see, what's the storage on this drive? Let's see. Looks like it was manufactured in January of 2008. It's a 160 gigabyte drive. So we're also about to give this a big storage boost, because remember, this one is 512 gigs. So let's hope for the best on this one. So now we're going to take off all 4 screws. So there's the first one. And off goes screw number 2. And we'll go to the other side to take off screw number 3. And there that goes. And finally, screw number 4. And there we go. All off. And now, if I remember correctly how to do this, we can just go ahead and pull it off the caddy. There we go. So here are the size differences between both drives. So I think we will have much better luck with this one. So now, with the HP drive in, assuming it'll fit. So now it's in nice and tight. So now all we just do is fit it in. Now, what we'll do is we will now just go ahead and latch both of these screws on, back onto the back onto the computer. So we'll put the screws that latch the hard drive in place. All right, we've latched the screws from the hard drive back into place. Make sure that that thing is fully in. And now we will close the cover. So we'll go ahead and put the cover back on. So the hard drive is in. Now, all we can do is just go ahead and reinstall the battery and lock it into place. Now, all we can do is just plug it in. And now let's turn it on so it can process the system changes. And while it does that, let me grab my flash drive of Windows 11. And there we go. The system changes have been reconfigured. And it detected the SSD. And it also detected the USB. Okay. So now we are ready to install Windows on this laptop. And in addition to that, this hard drive we just took out is gonna go in this old fella right here. This Acer TravelMate 2300 from 2005. So here are the original specs of this machine. Oh boy, I am curious to see how poor Windows 10 will perform on this. And then in terms of that computer, I actually have several ideas in mind. One idea is I would like to try out React OS, which is actually sort of like a mod of Windows. It's been in alpha development since 1996, and it is still being updated to this day, which is impressive. Another thing I'm thinking is maybe putting Linux Ubuntu onto there so then it can run more safely in the modern age. And it looks like we have an error here. Looks like we've got an error. It says Windows cannot be installed. This computer's hardware may not support booting to this disk. Insert of the disk controller is enabled in the BIOS. So, yeah, see, this is why. So we can't create a new partition. Okay, so all I needed to do was reboot the system because I must have plugged the flash drive in right after the configuration was changed and the installation utility didn't completely process the changes. And now it is installing Windows. So while we let Windows reinstall, it is time to replace the hard drive inside of this Acer TravelMate computer. Now, like with that Dell, it's actually pretty easy. All you just need to do is remove these two screws and we will gain access to its original hard drive. All right, the cover is off. And now, out comes our beauty right here. This guy, the Hitachi TravelStar, its original hard drive, September of 2004. Man, this is a pretty old drive. And now with the hard drive back together, all we can just do now is just fit it back into place like so. All right, will it fit? So no, the drive does not fit. And the reason why is because this is a newer pin connector type, as this is using an older type from the early 2000s. So, unfortunately, we will not be able to resurrect this computer, so that is very unfortunate. So until we find a hard drive that fits with the connector types of the 2000s, I'm sorry to say that we will not be able to revive this computer the way I was hoping, which is such a shame. because I remember it so much. But at least I have a spare drive, and it still has Windows 10 on it, and I'll just keep 10 on there until I'm ready to preserve it for something else. So, anyway, let's set this up. So, of course, the US is our country, and of course, the US is our keyboard layout. We will not add a second layout. And now this is where it's going to ask for Wi-Fi connectivity. And yep, there's the thing there that says I don't have internet. So we're going to continue with limited setup. And there we go. This is what I should have done. So now I'll just go ahead and put in my usual credential information. And almost there, and here's the desktop. It's not going to load anything because we're not connected to a network at this time. But we are going to go ahead and connect to one right now. Since we do not have the proper drivers, it's not doing the rounded corners. But we will be having those a little later on. So let's go to activation. It should have taken the key. Yep. Activated with a digital license. Alrighty, so we are in business with this machine. However, like I said, there are some final things we have to do. Because right now, this is running build 2861, and there is a newer security update available. So we're going to update the system, and it looks like that's what it's already doing. So it's going to scan for updates, install the drivers, and everything else like that. So now that we are connected, I'm going to do the same thing like I did with that other one. And you've already seen the entire process of that, so I'm not going to make you all sit through that whole procedure again. So the only difference in this procedure is that I will not be putting any sort of third-party antivirus software onto the system, whether it's Avast or anything else for that matter. And that is because Kaspersky has been banned in the United States. So until we find a new provider, this machine will not have any sort of third-party antivirus software on it whatsoever, and we'll just use the Microsoft Defender by default on Windows 11. So with that said, in our next episode, I am looking to bring that old HP desktop from 2012 back to bring it to a much faster working computer, because that thing has not been used since 2020. Actually, multiple things I'm actually looking to do with it. First, I'm looking to create a recovery backup with DVDs, like I should have done with that Vostro before I put Windows 10 on it. And then second will be to replace the hard drive and put an SSD into it. And then we'll see how well this thing runs Windows 11 with a solid state drive and no hardware changes. But oh boy, I am curious to see how it all goes. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.